This is a demonstration of exercise 24-3B, segmented reporting. Lancers Inc. is involved in 5 separate industries. The following information is available for each of the 5 industry segments, and the problem gives us the 5 operating segments A through E, their total revenues, their operating profit or loss, and their identifiable assets. The instructions state to determine which of the operating segments are reportable based on A, the revenue test, B, the operating profit or loss test, and C, identifiable assets test. So the first test that we are going to use is going to be total revenue. So the total revenue for the 5 operating segments is $398,000. So 10% of that is going to be our test. So the segments that have more 10% or more or the $39,800 as total revenue or more would be included based on the revenue test. So we see that segment A, segment B, and segment D meet the revenue test. So A, B, and D meet that test. The next test is the operating profit or loss test. So we first look to see whether or not for all of the operating segments, whether there is an overall or sum that is a profit or a loss. And in this case, when we sum all 5 of these, we get an overall profit. So this test is done based on the total of the segments then that reported a profit. So if we add A, B, and E together, we get $33,500 for the segments that reported a profit. That gives us a 10% test of $3,050. However, when we are testing the segments, we look at their absolute profit or loss. So that means that we look at the segment to determine whether or not they met or exceeded the $3,350, regardless of whether their amount was a profit or a loss. So in this test, we see A met that test, B met the test, but so did C. Even though C had a loss, the absolute value of $5,000 exceeded $3,350. So for this test, A, B, and C met the test. The last test is for total identifiable assets. So we just use the total, $361,000. We take 10% of that, and then we look at the segments to determine which ones had identifiable assets that met or exceeded that amount. So A met that test, and D met the test. So the segments that met that test were A and D. Remember, when you're conducting the test, that a segment that meets any of the 3 tests is included. So the includable segments for this company would be A, B, C, and D. And that is the conclusion of the demonstration for exercise 24-3B.